A little while back, we were talking about mission trips here on the show. And we heard from a lot of people who have either done mission trips or maybe sent their kids on a mission trip, etc. There's so much mission territory out there today, including our own backyard. But oftentimes people feel called to become missionaries. Well, there's an organization that kind of specializes in that. And here to tell us more about it is Sam Stanton, who is a lay Maryknoll Missioner and the former executive director of Maryknoll Lay Missioners. Sam, good morning. Welcome to Seize the Day.
Good morning, Gus. Thank you.
You're very welcome. It's great to have you. Now, Sam, where are you from now?
Right now I live in Maryknoll, New York, in Ossining, along the Hudson River. I'm originally from Kansas, grew up in Kansas, and have served as a Maryknoll Lay Missioner almost 20 years in Chile.
Okay, tell me first of all, before we get started on, what you do and how people can get involved, how did you get started with all that, Sam?
Well, I went to Kansas State University, and during my time there, I was very involved in the Newman Center. We have had, and it still is, a very vibrant Catholic community at Kansas State. And it was a time when I began to combine the idea of faith and action, and what we have to do and what the gospel calls us to do in building a better world today. And that led me to a journey first to Notre Dame and then eventually to Chile, and to really live out a vocation of mission, of sharing the good news of Jesus and the joy of the gospel, as Pope Francis says today. And I learned as a husband, as a father of 3 children, as a grandfather now, that I can do that, and we work with our priests and sisters in the mission of the church.
Now, when you first felt this call to become a missionary, did you have ideas about what it would be like? And then when you began to do it, how did that compare to the ideals that you had?
I had an idea. I had read the Maryknoll magazine over the years and other mission magazines. At one time, even investigated the Society of Divine Word, a missionary congregation, about the possibility of entering the formation program. It was a very brief period, actually, that I made that consideration. But I felt that call, and I felt that call as a layperson to do it. When I arrived to Chile, it was the struggles of learning language, a new culture, of beginning to get to know folks, to be homesick. All those sorts of things were a part of entering into the mission process. And I think the relationship with the people at that time, of getting to know them, the welcome that I received from the local Christian community, from the folks in the neighborhood, and just rubbing shoulders and getting to know their culture, their background, is what really made me grow over the years and made me feel that it was a second home as well. And sharing my faith with them and learning so much from them and their culture and their history. And I think that's what mission is in many ways today. We give a service that we've been privileged to attain, but we also listen to folks and learn from their experience and build those bridges of understanding and sharing of our faith perspectives and faith journeys.
Sam Stanton, the former executive director of Maryknoll Lay Missioners, with us this morning here on Seize the Day. Sam, was there a language disconnect? Did you know Spanish before you went to Chile, and how did that work?
Practically nothing.
Yeah. So you got the total immersion program.
I got the total immersion program. They did send me off to language school. Actually, I went to Chile the first time through a program of the Holy Cross Fathers out of Notre Dame University, and they sent me to the Maryknoll School in Cochabamba to study Spanish, and I studied. But really, the way of learning for me, and I was single at this time. This was a prior experience to Maryknoll Lay Missioners. It was through that contact, hanging out in the corner at night, talking with the young people, and beginning to get the idioms and the nuances in Chilean Spanish and so on and so forth. So yeah, that's a good learning process. It's through practice.
Yeah, and everybody says that total immersion is like the way to go, because then you don't have to. You're forced to learn the language, right? I mean, it's pretty much you either learn it or you don't do anything.
Absolutely, and especially in those times, 1978 is when I first went. We didn't have Skype, internet, email, all of these things today that allow you to really connect with back home in a much easier way. So it was really total immersion. You just had to jump in and sink or swim, you know. And I think it was, to me, it was a real blessing to have that total immersion experience. Helped language, helped understanding, helped relationships, and really helped me be able to share my faith journey and who Christ is and what the gospel means to me.
Sam Stanton, Lay Maryknoll Missioner, with us this morning. Sam, what's the website if our listeners would like to look up for more information?
Please go there, www.m as in Mary, K as in kite, L as in Larry, M as in Mary.org, mklm.org. And I would also invite you, our Facebook is Maryknoll Lay Missioners. Follow us. I just posted a short video yesterday of one of our missionaries that worked in a school for disabled children in Phnom Penh, Cambodia yesterday. So there's a lot of good videos on there, and you can really see the stories of Maryknoll Lay Missioners through our Facebook as well as our website.
mklm.org is the website.
Correct.
Now, Sam, let me ask you, how does this differ from, say, the Peace Corps? You know, I mean, I think we're all familiar with organizations like the Peace Corps, where people go off, they volunteer, they live in another country for a period of time. What's the difference here between something like that and the Maryknoll Lay Missioners?
I've had many conversations on that subject, and the Peace Corps does wonderful things and wonderful work, and we've had many people that have maybe done Peace Corps for 2 years and then come to Maryknoll Lay Missioners because they want to share their faith perspective openly. They want to share in community and prayer with other missioners and the local community. So it's all about the faith aspect. And that's why many people have been drawn to us maybe after Peace Corps, or some folks have gone like through Jesuit Volunteers, which is a 2-year program, and then they come to us afterwards for a 3-year experience. Our initial commitment is 3.5 years, which includes language training in the country where one is sent, and those contracts are renewable. And Gus, if I might just share, we have this year we have a woman, a nurse, and a woman that has a master's in public health who will celebrate 40 years as a Maryknoll Lay Missioner. So it's become a whole a lifetime vocation. Other people will stay for the 3.5 years, and that's great. And they come back and they use that experience in their local parish, their diocese, in their works. We have over 700 people that have been at least 3.5 years with us. So we have a whole network of wonderful folks really acting as bridges between cultures and understanding of peoples today across our country.
Okay, now I'm curious, Sam, you use the word contract. So tell us a little bit more about that. What is the contract? Is this a paying gig? Is it a volunteer gig? What do you do? What's expected of the Maryknoll Lay Missioner? Fill us in on some of that.
Yeah, and again, you can get quite a bit of that on the website. But we say contract because we are a not-for-profit in the state of New York, and so there is a contract, and we do give folks a stipend. The whole goal is to provide a decent but simple lifestyle overseas. We do provide the travel, health care overseas, so on and so forth. So we make it possible. We see it not as we often don't use the word volunteer because we think mission is a vocation for all of us. As Pope Francis is talking today, from baptism, we're all called to mission, and it happens here and it happens overseas. So we really see it as a vocation and invite people in. In other words, then we as a community raise the funds, and we offer the stipend and provide the sustenance while folks are overseas with us. We ask all of our people to help in that task of raising funds. We have a board of directors, and we have a whole network of partners, what we call partners. For example, I was this past weekend, I was at St. Gerard's Magella Parish in St. Louis, Missouri, and spoke at all the masses. They took up a second collection, and some of those people now have become our partners in mission. So in many ways, it works the same as a religious congregation, but for lay people, and the call is lifetime, but the service may be, with us specifically, just a 3.5 years, maybe 6, and maybe lifetime.
Sam, what are some common traits that you find in Maryknoll Lay Missioners, especially people, because, again, let's be honest here, this is a really big deal. I mean, this is like you said, this is a lifetime, this is a vocation. So people really have to kind of discern this. So what are some commonalities, some common traits that you find in people who do discern a vocation to become a Maryknoll missioner?
The faith perspective, is basic and key. The people believe in the gospel message that, God has laid out a plan through Jesus and the message that we receive in the gospel to build a more just and compassionate world. And that is a phrase from our mission statement. And maybe if I could just read our mission statement very quickly.
Sure.
Maryknoll Lay Missioners is a Catholic organization inspired by the mission of Jesus to live and work in poor communities in Africa, Asia, and the Americas, responding to basic needs and helping to create a more just and compassionate world. So anybody that resonates with that mission statement is invited to consider being a part of us, and that's the basis of who we are.
Okay, is there an age limit of young, old, and most commonly, how old are folks when they get involved?
At one time back in our history, we're 41 years old as an organization now, founded in 1975. We did have an age limit. Today we don't, but we have a very stringent application process. And through that application process, there are a series of interviews with professionals that know how to interview. And we look at, of course, a complete people's physical state, if they're physically capable of going overseas and living that reality. So it's a real journey of discernment, through our application process. And so we really try to just focus on where is the person, are they capable, and not necessarily look at age. So we have had some folks that have taken early retirement, or not so early, that have served and are serving with us and done wonderful work. And we also we consider young people right out of college. At this point in the game, our median age would be about 35. We also have families, and I think that's a very important thing. We feel that if mission is really to be mission and the call is true, we have to look at all vocational lifestyles, so families, singles, couples without children. And this fall, we'll have 2 families, each with 2 children, enter our formation program and be sent in December.
Wow. That's a big commitment for a family.
It
now,
is.
You mentioned as well.
When I came to Maryknoll, when I came to Maryknoll in 1985, I've been a Maryknoll Lay Missioner since 1985, and I came with 3 children who are now grown, and I have a grandson. So it's life. It's been a blessing for them.
Oh, I'll bet.
It's been a blessing. Yes.
And I'll bet that has really sort of shaped their worldview, hasn't it?
Definitely. They have a concept of the world that is big and embracing and complete, I would say. And, they deal very easily with people of different cultures, across racial lines and so on and so forth, and have a real concept of a human community.
Sam Stanton, who is the former executive director of Maryknoll Lay Missioners, with us this morning here on Seize the Day. And again, find out more about them at mklm.org, as in Maryknoll Lay Missioners. That's Knoll, by the way, Maryknoll. You mentioned something just a moment ago, Sam, I'd like you to comment on again briefly, and that's the idea that people either take early retirement or maybe even retired couples, as we were talking about this idea of age. So this is something that if a couple who is maybe a little bit older could consider as well.
Absolutely. And I, in St. Louis this weekend, on Saturday, I gathered for breakfast with a couple of folks that are considering joining us. They're taking early retirement and have a lot of energy and tremendous talents and gifts to give to mission. So we engage with folks all across the board, age-wise. And again, the motivation is the desire to really share in both work, deed, and word the gospel of Jesus with others, and be open to learning from them as well, and being bridge builders. And I think we'd all agree that our world today, we need bridge builders, folks that understand other cultures as our world becomes smaller and smaller.
So how long is the process, the application process, the interviews, et cetera? How long can someone expect from the time they begin the process until the time that they've been approved and actually go to another part of the world as a Maryknoll Lay Missioner?
Yeah, some people begin the process a bit earlier, but for example, a person might be in process right now, filling out the application form that you'll find on our website, bio references from a priest and different friends that you know, and so on and so forth. And then eventually, after that is all reviewed, our admissions team invites folks to Maryknoll, New York for a 2-day interview process. And after that process, there's a mutual discernment, and the person would be invited. So if you start now, for example, you would probably be interviewed maybe before Christmas, but most likely the first of the year 2017, and should hear back from us for the invitation by March, April of 2017. And then the orientation program begins the last part of September, first part of October. So if they initiated it now, it would be about a year process before they'd actually arrive. But they would know, say, March, April.
Well, let me say this, Sam. You have my greatest admiration. I know that, not everyone is called, obviously, to something like this, but for those who are called and who follow that call, they're making such a great big difference in the world. Maybe if you could just briefly comment on that, Sam.
I just look at our folks that have returned and the works they're doing here in the States, but also I visited our missions in Tanzania and Mombasa, Kenya, in February of this year, and I was just blown away by the tremendous works that I witnessed there. A person I spoke of before, Liz Mock, 40 years with us. Her work in the Diocese of Musoma as a nurse and working with young women, often with female genital mutilation, for example, that is still practiced. It's illegal. The church is working strongly against it, but she's really kind of the right-hand woman of the bishop in many of the programs that they're carrying out there. In Mwanza, the work, and also in Mombasa, the work with children who have been affected by AIDS, either HIV positive themselves or their parents have died of AIDS. So the care centers, the educational centers that our missioners are working in. And then Dr. Susan Nagley, who's been with us now 34 years, her whole medical life, after graduating from the University of Illinois Medical School, has been with Maryknoll Lay Missioners. And she was part of the medical team in southern Sudan for 12 years. So you can imagine the tremendous service that she, along with another Maryknoll Lay Missioner, physician assistant Marge Humphrey, gave in those years. So it's just tremendous, tremendous work. And I guess if I might just say something too, we've been a program. We started out as a program of the Maryknoll Fathers and Brothers in 1975. In 1994, we became, as well as an NGO in the state of New York, an Association of Christ Faithful according to canon law. So that's our relationship with the formal church. And, with the Pontifical Council for the laity in the Vatican. And since that time in 1994, we've become totally independent. We work with the Maryknoll Fathers and Brothers and the Maryknoll Sisters. We meet with their leadership teams, what have you. But we are independent as an organization, and we also must raise our own funds. For years, the Maryknoll Fathers and Brothers supported us economically, but today we have to raise our own funds. So, for example, this year we're speaking in 99 parishes in 34 dioceses across the country like I did last weekend. The hope is that we can, really ignite people to this concept that we as laity need to step up to the plate and work with our priests and religious if mission is going to happen into the future. And I'd say that's one of our biggest points. We know we're going through changes today, and we, the laity, are going to have to play a very important role if mission is going to happen into the future.
Yeah, amen to that, and in so many different ways as well, Sam. You know that.
Absolutely.
So, Maryknoll Lay Missioners, a 501c3.
Yes, and an association in relationship to canon law, in relationship to the church.
There you go. So, if you're interested, one last thing, I'm just curious about Sam Stanton. Now that you're the former executive director, what are you going to do? You going to play bridge now, or what? What's up?
No. Our new executive director and our HR are developing a good job description for me. I'm hoping to stay with the organization for several more years and do mostly promotions. I was in St. Louis last weekend. I will be in Dallas this weekend at St. Pius X Parish. I'll be in Miami the next weekend. Los Angeles. I'll be doing, parish presentations and connecting with partners and with people interested in becoming Maryknoll Lay Missioners wherever I can. So go onto our website. You'll see on my schedule, you'll see the schedule of other folks that are doing presentations. And we really invite folks to think about this, to engage. Not only if they can go, fantastic. That's get in touch with us, be in touch, begin that process. But also to support this new concept. And I cannot emphasize enough that if mission is going to happen into the future, laity have to be engaged. And in order to do that, the U.S. Catholic community has to really support and understand that effort. So let's all get on board. The gospel, as last Sunday's gospel was all about the harvest is abundant, but the laborers are few. And Francis is telling us today, step up to the plate, hear the call, be in mission. And that's what we're all about, Gus.
And here's one way for you to step up to the plate. Sam, thank you very much for being with us this morning. You'll be in our prayers. God bless you and the great work that you're doing at Maryknoll Lay Missioners. You can find out more again at the website, which is MKLM, Maryknoll. And I want to spell that for you again, just in case you want to Google it or whatever. It's MARYKNOLL, Maryknoll Lay Missioners, MKLM.org. And our thanks once again to Sam Stanton for joining us here this morning.